Will be. Hey, hello, and hey, True Believers England team here, and I'm with Dalton, the Authenticator.
Hello, folks.
And LK.
Good evening, everybody.
And we're going to be talking about, oh, did I even bring it up yet? No, I have not. I've got, but we're going to be talking about a book, Green Lantern #2, because what the hell, we went after #1, and I'm sure that at this point in time, this book is now one of the best reads on the market.
Not for the reasons intended, but if you're looking to treat a comic book to the MST3K treatments,
yep. Give me just a bit.
And if you thought issue 1 was bad, just buckle up and wait.
I thought I was prepared on this one, but as usual, do not look to me for professionalism. It will not work. But the thing is, I actually had, I had Mom Breaks the Internet open. I've got a Christmas Story that I was going to do open, because tomorrow me and the family are going to go out and all, and I'm just want something up for the day. I mean, you guys, if you wanted to do well, that ain't good, a Christmas book, or if you want to do a bad comic beatdown, fine, you're more than welcome to. My glasses broke. I'm getting them fixed, but the appointment is next week. Alrighty, so let's get to this. Sometimes I think, okay, cool, that's going to be fun. And sometimes I think, oh, why do I do this to myself? Why is it that the only comic books I'm reading anymore are the bad ones?
because people like seeing people get angry at the bad ones.
Yeah, and it's true. It's like, oh yay, we get to watch somebody go off on a really crappy comic.
I mean, not for nothing, but that was Lencaro's whole MO for the first 10 years he was online, so it worked.
Yeah, he's a shill, and he made his bones going after bad comics. It's just that what we think are bad comics are the big difference.
Yeah,
because
of course he wrote his own bad comic, but that's a story for another
day.
I
mean, he was like 17 at the time. I don't condone the continuous bringing up of Lightbringer.
Once again, this is by Tim Sheridan, Mel Torme, and Hermes.
Do not disparage the name of the great Mel Torme here.
And Hermes, Greek god. Okay, so we start off in New York City in 1941. Doiby Diggles, why do I gotta follow you around? What the latrine? Lantern? Is that what he's saying? Lantern. Yeah. Lantern. There you go. Can't you just power up the ring at home like you always does? No time. There's a killer on the loose, Derby. Apparently posing as me. He wanted to get my attention as well. Now he has it. On account of the stuff you found on the roof, the bank robber that burnt and drowned, and the same time you say you know him. No, wait a second. Didn't we end in the Arkham Asylum? I'm assuming this is backstory or something. Okay.
Flashback, probably.
It actually says 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Well,
flashback.
Well, no. Well, he says he knew him 4 years ago, and then we'll flash back 4 years to the Arkham Asylum.
Okay. But he was no thief. None of this makes any sense. Those wounds, you saying somebody set him up, then moited him, all to get to you? Maybe you should slow down and think about it. Think about this, because I can't do this. Because it sounds like you don't just know the victim, but also the killer. You want to do this, LK, that voice?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, sorry about the pillowcase. It's all I could find. Dad, all right? Alan?
All right. 4 years earlier, Alan wakes up from bed, and the dude that's with him says, sorry, you were shouting in your nightmares again, so I had to shout over your shouting to stop you from shouting. Now get up. We're going to be late. What was I? Billy? You can't go like that. And apparently they're at Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I'm taking it off. It was Johnny, by the way. You always shout Johnny. Let's do it for Johnny. Little outsiders there. Tim Sheridan, Cian Torme, Matt Hearns are all to blame for this comic. All right, so we're in Arkham Asylum, and we see the Green Lantern hanging around. We served in the Army. He was the love of my life. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. What year is this? You're going to be saying that out loud?
So that's what's funny too, is I initially thought this book was set in the early 50s, that his whole army stuff was like World War
in the
II.
Okay, yeah. All right.
But actually the top here said it was 1941. So this is 1937.
Okay, now they are literally they might actually decide that he needs electrotherapy to get rid of the gay.
Yeah, that seems to be the MO of the thing.
All right.
My question is still, why is he in Arkham instead of what's the mental institution that Constantine was in that one time? I forget the name. Was it
that
like
may not have been around
Ravencroft or something like that?
Yeah, that may not have been around in 37.
Also, he's in Gotham.
Or I'm going to say easier that, hey, everybody knows Arkham Asylum, so let's just use Arkham Asylum.
But I actually think he's in Gotham, so...
But here's the problem, though. Arkham is specifically for the criminally insane. Are we saying that off-panel GL murdered a bunch of people?
Well, no.
If
you saw from the previous panel, he is in the deviancy ward.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the out of universe answer is because that's the only DC mental institution the writer knows. But in universe, it's like, did he murder somebody when we weren't looking?
All right. So after Johnny drowned or burned and our commanding officer figured out the nature of our relationship, I expected a blue ticket discharge right then and there. But as they saw it, I'd saved the lives of the rest of the crew. So instead of booting me, they gave me leave to check myself in here and straighten out. And some old man's yelling at him, no, not yet. To give me time, call my family. No, call my priest. Father Paul knows me better. And we see a black guy dragged away.
He's the one yelling. I said he's the one yelling.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you should notice too, Billy's little sly. So Tim Sheridan's sly little dig there. Call my priest. Father Paul knows me better than anybody. I'll bet.
Well, and once again being the token pedant on this stream, I don't think straight was a euphemism for heterosexuality back then. So someone is being anachronistic again.
Well, if you are looking for Tim Sheridan to write good books, good luck.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to tell a 1940s set gay conversion electroshock story, could you at least do the 5 seconds of Googling it would have taken to point out to you that straight wasn't a euphemism for heterosexuality back then?
Well, I did a paper. I helped a Chinese girl get her degree so she could be a translator for the Communist Party. Yay, me. And one of the things she had to do was translate 1940s slang into modern day English. And I got to tell you, because she came to me, what does this mean? What does that mean? And there was a lot of stuff I did not understand. So I can see you don't want to go too much inside baseball. I'm going to give them at least
right, but at the same time, it's like if
we can spend hours. The book is the conversation. So let's see. Though I have to admit, some of the experimental methods being used in this facility makes me uncomfortable. Billy says that's the whole idea. I've never known anyone like Kim/her. Billy says her. Okay. She's abrasive and she's abrasive and brash, but also kind, and I think courageous. She thinks it too, only louder. Do we have to do this?
Apparently,
you chose it.
I'm already insulted.
I'm just agreeing to it.
Like I'm already insulted.
In Jay. All right, so he says it was Stephen. I'd know those whales anywhere. That queen is nothing if not dramatic. I don't know why, if they were talking to him or why they were taking him to Dr. Freeman. God damn, I can't read. They say his new procedure is painless and nearly 100% effective. They say it's all very modern. The old man says, anyway, I have something for you. For me, Billy, you shouldn't have. Don't be silly. I wanted to. Also, sorry about the pillowcase gift wrapped. It is contraband within these walls, like most beautiful things. And Alan says, nah, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't have. If they see you giving me a present, they'll think we're sleeping together. Oh, Lieutenant, I've told you 100 times. Men in uniform are not my type. I prefer them out.
But
I prefer them.
Something
out.
that no one would have said in the 1940s or otherwise.
Oh, there's a lot of not saying.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of
And then-
not saying.
Okay, and then pay attention to this panel because, you know, as Alan there saying, that's not funny. We're here to get better, as if he's distracted by somebody.
Right.
And then, you know, Billy goes, speak for yourself. We didn't all check into this dump voluntarily, you know. You want me to feel better? Open your damn present.
And we see it's the lantern. All
Dun,
those
dun,
hours
dun.
you've been spending in the workshop, I thought maybe someone had caught your eye, but I never told you I studied railway engineering. How could you know to make me a train lantern? I really have no idea, he says. Well, the truth is, it just spoke to me. Oh my gosh, if this is a working lantern.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, no, but this is Tim Sheridan's retelling of how the lantern came to be.
Oh. Okay, so we're getting an origin story here.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it.
And I'm glad I listened because I wanted so much to find a way to say thank you for your friendship. These last few months has meant the world to me. This place was bleaker than bleak, and I was facing some pretty dark demons. But then a real live hero, and possibly blonde, with a kind of annoying glow checked in, and whether he meant to or not, chased those demons away for at least for now. See, in my experience, those darkness finds ways to catch up with us all, Alan Scott. At least now, when it comes for you, you'll have something to help you shine that light of yours. And he's finding that to be a little bit dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Admiring
Just
the
a
new
bit.
Yeah, we see him looking at the orderly again. And Alan says, I wasn't admiring anything. He says, I wish you wouldn't torture yourself like this. You don't have to be here. There's nothing wrong with you. And Alan says, yes, there is. That part of me is supposed to be dead. I watched him die. And he says, oh, Alan, sweetheart, that's not how it works. And of course, Alan fights him back on this and saying, but I'm getting out of here, Billy, all fixed up. And when I do, I'm going to ask the first girl I see to marry me. Good. Then you can finally swap out that gold-plated eyesore you're still wearing. It's a trophy. Do you even know what it's for? And he says, do you? Alan replies, he does, and he walks away.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I'm not saying she. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it.
And then, do you know what ring Alan is wearing?
That's the one that was given to him from a dude.
From Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the last issue.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. So we see Green Lantern says he was trying to warn me, and Doiby asks about what, and Green Lantern says about the dark things within, and Green Lantern says he has to go, and then Doiby kind of chastises him. I'll let you take this dialogue there. Okay.
Oh, let me see here. Oh, hang on. You got a what a victim? Someone from your past? Burnt and drowned the same way as that army kid, Johnny Ladd? And it seems like the murderer might be out there masquerading as the Green Lantern? This clown seems to know a lot about who you are. You want to get a step ahead? I say keep heading down memory lane and try to figure out who he is. What are you looking at me like that for?
You reminded me of her, Billy, just for a second. Him. Dude, okay. Because look, here's the thing. I've known transsexuals back when they were called transsexuals, and even they didn't do it. I'm sorry, but they didn't. It's not a
the pronoun thing is very anachronistic if this is supposed to be set in the 40s or 30s or whenever this is supposed to be set.
Wrong. So what's going on here is just it's the freaking indoctrination. I'm telling you, and it's wrong it's wrong for the story. No matter which way you look at it, it's wrong for the story.
It's disrespectful too. I never thought I would use this phrase, but Glenn or Glenda was more respectful towards these kind of issues than this is.
Oy vey. All righty, so we see Green Lantern later at night. Billy's on my case day and night. I know I shouldn't wear Johnny Ladd's ring. It isn't healthy. I'm here to get healthy. but it just feels like if I wear it, then he's here with me. That we're doing all of this together. It's the same reason I checked into this place as Alan Ladd Scott. I owe it to Johnny, to his memory, to try to fix what I broke. I'm an engineer. Give me the right tools and I can fix anything. I can be normal. And then there's a green glow and the words, "We bring life."
Okay, now obviously what the writer is trying to do here is say that there's nothing wrong with Alan. It's just that he's grieving his lost love, and he's trying to get through the grief without by going through conversion therapy. But here's a question that someone in the editorial probably should have asked. Why would he be trying to cure his homosexuality if he's grieving his lost homosexual partner? I'm like, no one even in the pit of mad grief is thinking this way. The only reason Alan is stupid enough to is because the writer needs a setup for this gay conversion story.
Well,
And if you're going to do that, can you at least come up with a reason that actually makes any kind of sense, please?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
I'll
I
let
mean,
you take this one.
as it's said, I mean, his setup is that, you know, the accident at the end of issue 1, you know, the military brass found out that Alan and Johnny were, we'll call them lovers for lack of a better term. And essentially it was more of a deal of, we're not going to dishonorably discharge you. Instead, we'll give you an honorable discharge, but in exchange, you've got to go voluntarily check yourself in and get yourself, quote unquote, straightened out.
Well, and by the way, this was actually thought of back in the day. You actually, it was a disease that you could be cured of.
Yeah.
So at the very least, I've got to give respect. That is actually something that happened. Hello to Samuel Proctor saying, "Oh, it's the Alan Scott issue I've been hearing so much about. Here it is." And MK saying, "I do think the IP is better without them." Dalton knows of Chucky. Okay. Let's see. I'm anti, but not because I'm anti-trans or anything. I just feel they take away from Chucky's spotlight, but I digress. All righty.
Yeah, I was making an Ed Wood reference, not a Chucky reference, but I get what you're going for here.
Alan Ladd Scott, no relation to the actor Alan Ladd of Shane fame. No, just this was his actual name here. All righty. So Alan wakes up and he says, "Bring us somewhere else," Billy, thinking that that it was Billy who was talking to him, but Billy's gone. And they're back in therapy. "She didn't come back to the room last night. A week went by and no one would tell me what happened to him. If he were ill, they'd at least let me visit to cheer him up. I told them I just wanted to apologize for storming off angry the last time we were together. I needed to fix it. They just kept telling me to have more patience, but there were so many stories of people in Arkham suddenly vanishing." And then Billy comes back and he's obviously had, a lobotomy.
Lobotomy? Yeah.
Alan asks what happened. "What have you done to him?" And she says he wasn't, and of course he says she, and he goes, he wasn't responding to other treatments. So he received Dr. Freeman's new procedure to root the trouble right out of his brain. It's all very modern. You should be happy for Mr. Billings. He's cured now. He could go back home to his family and lead a whole new life. And you could see that obviously he's lobotomized. Family, they're the ones who locked him away in here. And he says, "I don't have a ticket," and Green Lantern offers his. The nurse says, "Mr. Billings needs to pack, and if I'm not mistaken, you're late for ECT now, Mr. Scott. Say goodbye. First we bring death, then we bring life." Is
once again being a bit of a prick here.
Okay.
Lobotomies and electroshock therapy were not new in the 1940s. They had been practiced all the way back in the 1890s. So once again, chronological fail. I know it's the DC universe and everything, but the writer doesn't care that it's the DC universe, so I'm not allowing him to use that as an out.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and he's, well, at the same time, he's trying to present this as, you know, it's some, you know, new technique to just root out the gay part of your brain.
Yeah, I know it's supposed to be he's lying, but it's not framed as though the characters know he's lying. It's framed as though it is supposed to be a new procedure, which is historically illiterate.
Well, I learned in the 80s that all gay people need is just a little booty. Female booty. And then they'll convert. Alrighty.
Doesn't work. I'm sorry to be the counter
Alrighty.
example.
So they say their goodbyes, and he says, I know what I heard on the ship with Johnny then here the other night, the same voice, but somehow different. I can't explain it. And that light, that crimson red light, was it real? If it was just in my head, then maybe I really do belong in a place like this. Wait a second. I thought you actually wanted to get cured.
Yeah, now I'm more confused because this was what I was getting at earlier. I get that they think that he's ill for this, but why did Alan think that he's ill for wanting a guy? And if he doesn't think that, then what the heck is all this I want to get better nonsense in the previous couple pages for?
Well, right there, if he says, then I really do belong in a place like this, then I don't know, maybe
that implies that he didn't think he did until just now.
Or maybe he's doubling down on it. Certainly more than Billy. The only voices in his head were the family and the doctors who told him every day that he was sick and wrong. Then why are you in there? I mean, that right there, that contradicts the whole storyline that Alan has had up until now.
That's why I tried to point it out earlier. There's no reason for him to think that he's ill. I get that that was the, medical knowledge of the time, but there's no evidence that he thought that until just now, and now it's retconned again so that he doesn't think that.
Okay,
and when the plot needs
here's the
it.
big problem. Take away all of the identity politics. Take everything away. That little structure right there is a bad writing. It's just bad
writing fail. Yeah. Does the character have this motivation or doesn't he? Make up your frickin' mind.
Billy died so Billings could live. Johnny died so I could live. But I can't live like that, not like Billings. I swear the more I think I'm losing my mind, the more things make sense, really, because that was just a gobbledygook of word salad. Maybe I really am hearing voices, but maybe I'm supposed to. And maybe I'm supposed to be the way God made me. Maybe I can still fix this. I checked myself into this place. I can leave whenever I want. But how can I, knowing the rest are still here, staring just like him down the barrel of Dr. Freeman's drill? If we were a united front, there'd be no way they could stop us. They may outnumber us, but we're fighting for our lives. What are they fighting for?
Alan, not to be a prick or anything, but if only you were, say, the Green Lantern.
But he isn't yet. I mean, that's the point.
Oh, is this before he got the ring? Is that what I must have missed that?
So the doctor comes in and he grabs his diary. The way God made me, disgusting filth. But it does provide cause to suspend your rights and have you officially committed, Mr. Ladd Scott. And boom. Oh, wait, I checked myself into Arkham. You told me I could leave whenever I want. And they drag him. And this is where we started. This is where we left off. Him being about to be electroshocked.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as before, but probably because I knew it was the last time.
And that's when you got your powers?
No, not yet. Let's just say that day I found my footing. We all did. And we see in the medicine cupboard, we see the nurse and she's getting pills. Every one of us. Every last patient in Arkham's deviance wing. What they were doing in that place was monstrous. After Billy, I finally could see it. Because of Billy and Stephen and Peggy, everyone could see it. Maybe there isn't anything wrong with us. If something's wrong, maybe it's with them, with their unwilling to treat us as human beings, as equals. I still don't know if the answer, what the answer is to that, but whatever it is, doesn't change the simple fact that there is always safety in numbers. As it turned out, we had allies. Oh, you see how you're taking the story from the 40s, you're using language for today, and boom.
But here's the problem. I hate to break it to you, but the entire 20th century happened, guys. We're not living in the 40s or 50s or 60s anymore. The 80s also happened. The gay acceptance movement in the 90s and 2000s already happened. These kind of practices do not happen anymore outside of extremely weird and wacky fundamentalist circles. And they are not to put too fine a point on it, but a laughingstock for the most part. As well they should be. But
well, see though, but Tim Sheridan is trying to use this to try and hold up a mirror to say, hey, look at these barbaric practices that happened in the 40s, aren't we?
That don't happen anymore and have not happened for a good solid like 50 or 40 or 50 years.
Oh, Sam, Alan Scott has always been in Gotham City since the very beginning, since in the 1940s, the actual comic book 1940s when he first appeared. So Arkham would be where he would go. And to answer James' off the beaten path question, I honestly don't care because I never thought the games were canon anyway. It's their own universe. So, and no, Snyder's never going to finish his vision. And once again, don't really care. Don't really care about that either. Let's see. My newest ally said he had a sympathetic cousin in Colorado. A few of us with nowhere else to go hopped a freight car and we made our way out west. There was plenty of work for an honest railway engineer out there, even one with a blue ticket and a voice in his head.
You saying you heard it again? The voice?
One more time, 2 years and a few short-lived flings later, I had found success in the railway business, but I still wasn't sure how to make sense of my private life. I didn't know what I wanted. And we see a guy or hear a guy. I just think we should be more careful, except maybe another ring on my finger. I'm assuming that they were a bonin.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so you may not recognize it, but this is the orderly that helped him break out of Arkham, the one that he was staring at his butt back in the second or third page. So I mean, the one interesting thing here is we're led to believe that Alan Scott helped lead a mass breakout out of Arkham Asylum in 1937 or 19.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're ripping off One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. But yeah, it seems like, they just decided, that's okay. They left. Oh, well.
So what you're saying is there's an entire action scene of these orderlies rebelling against their doctors that we could have seen that the
No, I'm not saying that.
Comic didn't show us because they would rather talk than show any kind of action scene.
Yeah.
Why am I not freaking surprised?
No, not necessarily that. No, it's more of so the Gotham police force right now wasn't out in mass looking for these escaped, lunatics or whatever they would brand them in 1937 because they escaped from an asylum. I mean, that would be big time news.
It's almost as though he didn't think through the premise of the story he's writing or something.
Oh, Tim Sheridan? No, of course not.
So it goes, Decker was a rival engineer who'd lost one too many jobs to my fast growing up start of a company, or maybe it was more personal than that. Either way, I knew he had it in for me, so I should have been more alert. But there was something that put me instantly at ease about James Hinton, Jimmy. He knew what it was before I did. And we see the guy saying, it's okay with me, if I remind you of him. And they start a boning again. What he didn't know, and what I was only just beginning to see, was that Decker's vengeance wasn't the only thing in store for me that night. Since I met the Crimson Flame, all the major events of my life had followed a certain pattern of resurrection, of renewal. And we see him driving away, or are they? Nope, we're seeing bad guys, I guess, putting dynamite on a bridge, it looks like.
Yeah, they're on the, Alan and Jimmy, they're in the train car.
Right. In those days, whatever death came to darken my door, that door would open to a whole new life. Still, as our train barreled down the tracks to cross that bridge, I knew something was waiting there for me, not just Decker's men, something more. And the lantern is glowing, and Alan says, this isn't right. And the boy's thinking he means the sex and says, don't say that. There's no reason to live in the shadows anymore. Oh, there's a lot of reason back in the 1940s, you dumbass, but okay. They say, what is that? And of course, the train wreck happens. Mm-hmm. And Decker had his way. We see the guys laying there. Alan Scott gets up. Like Billy had embarrassed her family, I had embarrassed my competitor, and this time 42 souls would die for it, including me. That's the last time I heard it, right there at the end. We bring death. And we see Alan passed out by his lantern. As ever, it was true to its word. 42 souls would perish that day, but only 41 would be lost. The voice, the light, wasn't done with me yet. It had carried me to my death. It had brought me back to life. And finally, as its greatest gift, and granted me power. Can we yell that? I mean, it is yelling, right? And we see the light and the green light go through them.
Yeah. So that's how it happened. But the light, that voice, you don't know where they came from?
In our research, Johnny and I found stories of the emerald flame of life, as old as those crimson flames, the force of nature we once fought and which I'd survived. Maybe the green light was drawn to me through my interactions with its fiery counterpart. It seems like everything in my life is connected to that moment.
And the bank robber you knew, the one that perished, that was Billings? Decca? It couldn't have been Jimmy or Johnny Ladd for that matter.
No, they all died some time ago, but he was there 4 years ago, the night we ran from Arkham. He opened the door, as a matter of fact. It all happened so fast, it wasn't until we were clear of the place that I even thought to ask the handsome young orderly his name. It's Robert. Robbie was my ally, my friend, and for a little while more. But then all was said and done, and he wasn't Johnny. Still, just like Johnny, Billy, and Jimmy Hinton, he saved my life, and I could never, ever forget him. Someone knew that, Darby. Every time Alan Scott gets close to someone, a lover, a friend, even an enemy, someone takes them from him, and there's nothing he could do but run. But I'm not just Alan Scott. I'm the Green Lantern, and you guys aren't remembering it for the book, because I got to tell you something. This is boring.
Yeah, no, it's literally the talking around things that should be interesting, and this is another one of those things that
awfully boring.
That annoys me about stories like this. If they care so much about gay stories, why is it they can never ever write an actual romance in one of these stories? Irrespective of the fact that it's a superhero story and superheroic should be somewhere in it, but that too. But also, you would think if they care so much about gay stories, they would put a romance in the story at some point instead of talking around it, or this happened off screen and we're going to tell you and not show you for some reason.
Yeah, it's just god awful book. I mean,
and it took 21 pages to move the plot forward
1 inch.
Yeah.
I mean, here we go. Okay, whoever they are, and we see the red flame guy, and it's the next issue, the Spirit in the Flesh.
Yeah. So, and of course, it being Tim Sheridan, he's not that clever, so of course it's going to wind up being Johnny.
Of course. Oh, yeah.
Johnny was, survived or resurrected.
He was taken by the red flame.
This right here is the best thing about the book.
Yeah.
That right there. That's the best thing about the book, the Ode to Keith Giffen. Okay, here we go. J.M. DeMatteis. Keith Giffen was one of the most brilliantly creative humans ever to work in comics, the Jack Kirby of my generation of creators. He was a curmudgeon with a heart of gold, an old friend, and as my wife observed, you know what? This is its own video right here.
Yeah.
It really
Just to recap, we have a superhero story with no superheroics and a gay romance story with no gay romance.
So it was literally a book about nothing.
It was a book about talking about things that were happening off screen and never showing us the things that happened.
Yeah, you're right. It's god awful book.
Yeah, no, it was Tim Sheridan getting to completely rewrite and change Alan Scott's origin into his little screed of look at how awful they treated LGBT people back in the 1940s. Isn't it so horrible, awful? And, oh, by the way, the insinuation, of course, is always, hey, we can't backslide. We're just one vote away from going back to those dark, terrible times.
Yeah. Never mind that history isn't unidirectional, either good or bad.
The last I heard was Trump is going to kill people as soon as he gets into office. Go figure. I mean, you're not only a gay man, you're also the local leftist or liberal, excuse me. Do you feel like if Trump wins, he's going to kill you?
No. Why would I think that? That would
This is
require
actually- I'm not
dehumanizing a
kidding.
person to cartoonish levels. Oh wait, lol.
I'm not kidding. This is the new thing. The gays, you guys are your. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to say this. You people,
Yeah.
are in danger if Trump gets elected, according to all the leftists.
Yeah, especially because I'm also disabled and not Christian. But
oh, man,
you know,
yeah, you suck all the way around. Ah,
Yeah.
all right.
Well,
anyhow.
no, I mean, again, this is where the radical activists love to toss around the word genocide.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this bill in Florida got passed. This is going to lead to genocide of all LGBT people, and it's like
that is the dumbest thing. It's like because they don't want anybody talking about sex between to a 5 to 8 year old. There's going to be a genocide of something. The book itself, I think he nailed it. I didn't notice it as much as you guys did as we're reading through, but you're right. They were talking about things off panel rather than putting it. I mean, talk about it, sure, but actually draw that in. Tom King at his worst does this all the time. Like I remember the worst thing where I realized it was horrible. You had like Batman and Catwoman doing a dance down a road or something like this, and the dialogue boxes, which used to be descriptive boxes, were talking about something absolutely did not have anything to do with it. It's like he was trying to be noirish, but wasn't being. It wasn't a noirish story,
right?
And that's where that really kind of shines. I'm sorry, Frank Miller did it in Dark Knight. Frank Miller did it in Daredevil, and of course Sin City. But it was supposed to be the inner thoughts. It was supposed to be more of a mystery thing.
And even Frank Miller can't do it 100% of the time, lest we forget all the bad, Miller time worthy Frank Miller stories where he tried to do it and it failed. But
this was god awful. I mean, the big problem with this, by the way, is that it's not that kind of god awful. We put on America Chavez. The book that built my channel was America by Gabby Rivera. It was all about America Chavez. That was fun. That's the kind of crap we like to read. Give us something that is so far beyond that it's actually entertaining.
Yeah, something like Daniel Kibblesmith's New Warriors or Velma or something along those lines.
This was so mid. Or what are the kids doing today? Meh. It is so that. It is just, it wasn't, there was no meat on that freaking emaciated bone of a story.
No, it wasn't even a story. And you want to know how I know? Take out Doiby's dialogue entirely. Is there a single panel of this comic that could not easily be fit into a monologue by Alan Scott?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
No,
it wasn't.
It's a one person book, and again, you go compare it to All American Comics number 16, which is half the length of this, and you get so much more story. I mean, this thing here, I mean, it leaves out. So, okay, we see Alan Scott gets imbued with the power. It leaves out, the best part where he then goes in and takes out, tracks down Decker and his gang and makes him pay for the crimes of sabotaging the railroad. Also, too, is that unless it came up in much later books, the whole thing about Alan Scott previously being in the military as an engineer is something completely made up by Tim Sheridan. Well, I'll say I think it's made up by Tim Sheridan. Now, of all the things that were probably pulled out of thin air for this comic, I'm willing to let that slide. Because that at least seems like something that could have been true all along without us knowing. Like it doesn't actually counteract or undermine his character in any way. But except for the fact that it has the whole him, discovering the Crimson Flame thing. That doesn't happen. I mean, at least in the original origin, he doesn't understand anything until, he has the lantern. He's been holding on to the lantern after the train crash. And correct
me if I'm wrong, but the original form of the original form of the lantern was actually like a oil lamp, like a genie lamp style thing, and Alan reforged it into a
Well, it wasn't
real
no,
lantern.
well, yes and no. It was a genie-like lamp, but it wasn't Alan that reforged it. One day, it appeared in America outside an asylum for the insane. Joe, look at this curious old Chinese lamp. What a queer green color. Let's give it to old Billings. He's a harmless old coot who makes lanterns out of metal. He'd like this green lantern. Or lamp.
Okay, yeah. Excuse me, but my point is that there's no discussion of the reforging in here, and there probably should be if this is supposed to be the origin of the Green Lantern. Then
Well, I think if I have this correctly, this is a decent review of this book.
Whoa, I think I just figured something out, Beavis. What? This sucks. Yeah, it really sucks. This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
There you go.
while we're referencing Beavis and Butthead, the thing that this makes me think of more than anything is Daria's definition of edgy in her own series. Someone asked her what edgy is, and I believe it was something like, edgy is how corporations choose to pander to younger generations without having any understanding of how those younger generations think. That's this book. It's Daria's definition of edgy. And I know I paraphrase that like crazy, but
let me get some comments here. Samuel saying, I watched the Christmas episode of the Justice League show just before I joined the stream. What a downturn. I know. Sorry. But I was hoping this would be a much more live, like there would be something in the book, some meat and potatoes to chew on. But like I said, this book was boring. Oh my gosh. And
insulting.
Dalton and LK nailed it. Got the nail right on the head with the fact that it's a bit boring because it was one long ass monologue. Let's see. Rachel Maddow really does think that Trump is going to murder all the gays. Sorry, Dalton, but we have to bring Trump in. I mean,
no, I have a strong feeling that Trump is going to come back in, and I'm going to remain unmurdered. So you know.
Okay. Hey! Look, you know what? Preppers, you never laugh at preppers after the disaster hits. Only before. All right, you just sit there and relax. Trump's coming for you, man. Excuse me.
Now, just remember, conspiracy theory is just something that hasn't been proven yet.
That's right.
Well, it doesn't. I believe it was George Carlin who said they don't have to conspire if they're all in the same social circle, and that's basically what this is.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Would this book even be ripped by early Richard Meyer? Probably.
Yeah, but I mean, I think actually Zach might have looked at it, but again, kind of the same thing in terms of just how boring it is. I mean, it's again, Tim Sheridan getting to take 22 pages to, basically, write out this, quote unquote cautionary, tale. And it's kind of like, as a former friend of the channel, said in a different video, if Tim Sheridan wanted to write a book about, conversion therapy in the 40s, go for it. Just don't do it here.
Yeah, but unfortunately he did, and it was dull as fuck. Hopefully,
even on its merits as a cautionary tale, ooga booga be afraid gay people thing, it fails at that because the only thing it successfully does is insult us. I said something similar last time. Like, this is when we were covering the Nightcrawler book. It annoys me that this is what they think we are. And the only people that this kind of writing is going to be helping is people who want a reason to hate the gays, people who want to think of us as less than human. And it's extra insulting because they're using some of my favorite characters to do it.
All righty. Let's see. Now I just want to see Trump in a Santa Claus. By the way, I do have a video. I'll repost it here. It's the night the Trump that stole Christmas, how the Trump stole Christmas. So that's fun. get some of those old Christmas videos back up. It's time for the classics. But that being said, thanks very much for Dalton and for LK for joining here. I still have fun doing these. This was just, I did not expect this from this book. I expected more big bad. But okay, let's see. Tomorrow I'm going to be out with Gail and Elizabeth. We're going to go do the Christmas stuff out at Epcot, and hopefully back in time to do a live stream, but there'll be an unboxing. And on Friday, of course, we have our usual at 10 o'clock, but I think we're going to pull that back to 9. If you guys want to join to do another book, I am way A-okay with doing that. Or Jeopardy. I got 2 more Jeopardy boards. That might be fun to do.
Either or is fine with me.
All righty. That being said, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Don't forget to do all the clicking and liking. If you don't mind helping out the channel, go on over to Ko-Fi, drop $1 in the till. This is the way we're trying to make a living. Like, thank everybody who's already done that. And to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night.